our only guest tonight is Yolanda. She's been on the show, as Russell said, 3-4 times. It's been several times for different reasons, but she's got some new news coming up. And I've known Yolanda for well over 25, close to 30 years. And so it's just a pleasure to have her back in the studio. So Yolanda, come on in. Let's talk. Oh, Yolanda, it's so good to see you. And I know just the thought of seeing you and hearing about you has many people smiling tonight. So I'm glad to have that happen. All right. So yes, so Yolanda, let's catch some people up. Give us the elevator talk on where you started and what brought you to Burlington, Vermont back in the 90s.
Yes. Oh my God. Well, so I was born and raised in Alabama, in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, which is called the hit recording capital of the world. So I grew up around music and learning to sing and play guitar and all that. A lot of things happened, and eventually I went to college, majored in musical theater, of course, wanted to move to New York City, did that, met the Radical Fairies in the late 80s. And by 1993, the Radical Fairies had created a commune.
So Yolanda, how would you describe the Radical Fairies?
Oh, good point. Well, let's see. Basically, I would say a group of diverse queer people who really celebrate the divine feminine. And that was really where I got my foothold at understanding myself as Yolanda, because now, I mean, it's been a long journey and I'm sure we'll talk a lot about it, but now I understand myself as trans-femme, genderqueer, which before I didn't understand, you know what I mean? So the fairies, meeting the fairies sort of helped me begin to call myself Yolanda on a regular basis and live into that, you know what I mean? And then we lived in Northfield for a while, and then we had to leave that place. We were living in a like an old ski lodge, and we had to leave that place, and we didn't have our land down in Southern Vermont yet, so I moved to Burlington. Good choice. And met you and Marguerite and, you know, like the whole gang, Cherry Tart, and, just we began performing, and it was so amazing, you know. And I, of course, created the band Yolanda and the Plastic Family. And then at that time, Cherry Tart and I had the TV show like you're doing now, but that was called the Cherry Tart Show, but Cherry and Yolanda Show, but that was on public access. So just, you know, a lot of things happened and people got to know us. And then in 1999, I began to get invites to come back to New York to play at CBGB's at a event called HomoCore, which was
okay. I'm going to take a time out. There.
Yeah.
So no, you started performing here in Burlington as Yolanda, with our good friend Stephen West, also known as Cherry Tart.
Yes.
And that created the drag scene. I mean, at Halloween there'd be people dressing up, you know, and things like that, but there was never really any committed drag queens in Burlington at that time. I guess there were in years past, but at that time, you and Cherry revitalized the drag scene, and that's when my good friend Mike Hayes and Bob Bolliard said, they're having fun.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Absolutely.
And that's what started us, was the watching you and Cherry doing what you did. And we said, yes, let's do that. And so that's when we started, and was like 28 years ago. And so I've often blamed you. I've often blamed you that there wouldn't be me without you.
I feel that so strongly, because, you know, we're still here, like you say, and we've stuck around and we've gone through a lot of stuff. And, you know, I couldn't be happier about having been an influence, you know, on the Burlington scene, because you guys certainly healed my heart. I mean, I was pretty lost when I moved to Vermont and when I landed in Burlington, and the whole experience of being there and being just taking life by the balls, as we say, and just living into your authentic self, and then inspiring other people to do the same. Really, it's amazing, like what has happened all these years,
And to talk about that, I'm hearing an echo somewhere.
Let me turn my mic down. Maybe that helps.
Yeah. Okay. So to talk about that, Russell Dreher, our producer there, produced and directed a documentary about the House of LeMay called Slingbacks and Syrup, and it debuted 13 years ago this week at the Vermont International Film Festival, and you supplied the music for it, and we have a clip from that, so I'd like to show that.
Cool.
Their continued presence in Vermont, highlighted by their outrageous outfits, had made the LeMays an important and highly accepted part of the community. Many things changed in Vermont during the first 15 years I have been friends with the members of the House of LeMay. For example, the long fight for gay marriage had led to the creation of civil unions. Countless people worked hard to create these changes in Vermont, and during this period the LeMays stood tall in their heels and continued to perform. They even created original shows on the subject of civil unions. When they saw opportunities to put themselves in front of the heavy hitters of Vermont politics, they threw on a wig and a dress and jumped at the chance to meet Governor Howard Dean, Senator Patrick Leahy, and even Bill Clinton's Deputy Secretary of Education, Madeline Kunin. By being a continued presence in Vermont, by teaching through laughter and example, and by following their path toward their dreams, the LeMays had made a difference and had helped to change the world around them, not to mention changing me.
Well, people always put me down in my hometown. I was hard for them to understand. They could see it in my eyes, but they didn't realize that I was from a different land. Well, I remember puberty when I showed a propensity for wearing women's lingerie. My mind took me to a place in outer space to search for people like me. And when they come to take me home now, I'll be too far away to telephone. Whoa, because I'm an alien love child. Don't you know that I'm an alien love child? Don't you know that I'm an alien love child? Don't you know that
So Alien Love Child, wasn't that great? Alien Love Child, when did you write that song?
Well, I actually wrote that when I lived in Northfield. And I had just moved, to Vermont and was living there. And all of these songs came to me. That's actually the same time when I wrote We Are Angels, so this whole theme of aliens and angels has sort of been following me throughout my life, really. But that song is basically what we're basing my musical on. It's called The Church of the Alien Love Child Presents the Passion of Rev. I know. So that song, well, it resonates with people, that feel like outsiders, and as I was growing up in Alabama, I certainly, it was 1956 when I was born. So, that was really, I really felt like an outsider, but yeah, I just really appreciate that burst of creative energy that came to me when I moved to Vermont. It was just something, so nurturing about being there and being with the fairies and calling myself Yolanda. And then all of this creative energy came. And like you say, we created the scene there,
Right, the Winners of Drag Ball. The Winners of Drag Ball.
Winners of Drag Ball. That
you started that 27 years ago.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and we'll be having the next one in February, and we've already started planning, and we hope you can make it up for that. So time out again, and yes. So we'll come back with more from Yolanda. Right. Take a breather there, girl.